This second one's called Tante Rouge, and it's about a woman who lives in Rockley. I'll never actually say that, but I know where she lives. And she's probably about 70, and she's spent the whole morning trying to avoid a man who she thinks is trying to sell something to her. And she's just found out what it is that's on offer, and it's eternal life. She's in Catford, and it's raining. The fiddle player stopped, suddenly aware of the reason for his persistent tunelessness. He glanced at Hannah, who stood motionless and apparently appreciative. "Do you know how many different versions there are of that song?" he asked, hoping to jog the old bat into parting with some money. "Yes," said Hannah firmly, although she didn't. She could imagine there were a great many, having found 6 different tunes without trying, and stray verses and at least 12 songs that admitted to no knowledge of each other. "What would you do if someone offered you eternal life?" she asked. The fiddle player loosened his strings and scrambled the instrument into its case. "A nutter, better humour her. Read the small print. There's always a catch. Loss of a soul, usually, isn't it?" he asked, then catching the serious expression on Hannah's face, thought better of encouraging a dialogue. Hannah watched his thin-legged load taking him to the pub, her hand still clutching a handful of coins. Well, he'd not be spending her pension money on alcohol. Hannah thought about small print. She wasn't at all sure she had a soul as such, or that she'd care to keep it if she did. But what would she do with eternity anyway? Fritter it away in Catford, until some suspicious clerk at the benefit office wondered how come she was still drawing the pension, and cut her money off just to see what happened. Hannah sighed and dragged herself away towards the library. Apology to Alan now, I'm going to be rude about libraries. There had been a time when Hannah had enjoyed the library, when it was still a relatively library-like building. Despite having been built in the 60s, it had still clung to the Carnegie model. It might have been concrete, but it still had a domed roof with skylights that leaked, so that you had to hop over the industrial-sized mop buckets in every other aisle, and it had smelt right. The new library didn't even look right, not a single wooden object in sight, all plastic and computers. Be that as it might, it was still the only place in Catford where she could hope for a rational conversation. But Hannah's favourite library assistant was not in, so she had to settle for the eccentric old gentleman who was always ordering impossible books on or in Sanskrit. He looked as though he should know what to think about immortality. He reminded Hannah of photographs she'd seen of a mummified pharaoh, Ramses, or was it Seti? The thoughts lay in uneasy proximity in Hannah's mind: immortality, Sanskrit, and that ancient antique head of his. Hannah sat down at the cramped study desk and fed immortality into the computerised catalogue. Not listed, the computer told her. She tried eternal life, but the catalogue would only accept one-word cues under subject. Hannah glanced about, looking for inspiration or help. Tucked into the corner as she was, it would mean abandoning the computer to seek out assistance, and someone else would be bound to steal it. Ramses glanced up from his book and smiled. Not his usual style, Hannah thought suspiciously. Struggling, he inquired. Hannah nodded, trying not to look at the blackened stumps of his teeth. He didn't look that old at first glance. His hair was thinning, certainly, but not grey, and his skin was not particularly lined, just papery. "What was it you were trying to find?" he asked. Hannah had to clear her throat twice before she could get the word out. "Immortality, huh?" Ramses inquired, his long, thin fingers flickering hesitantly above the keyboard. "Theology, philosophy, fact, fiction, or practice?" He waggled his eyebrows at her. "I don't know. Shall we try this then?" he asked, an input for author, then typed in very slowly, TANTE_ROUGE. "Not at this location. One title found. Press return for more information," the computer advised Hannah, but she was not waiting to see what Dewey number Tante Rouge had been assigned. Ramses hit the clear command and glanced round, trying to identify the person who had set this in motion. He spotted him, passing the wrong way through the security system without setting off the alarm. Ramses returned to his books, sighing, "Why do they always pick Catford?"